Good evening and welcome to Anatomy Triad Foundation. Today is the 10th day of our program concerning biomedical research in the 21st century and international opportunities as far as the field of biomedical is concerned. So welcome, and thank you very much if you're already watching us. If you've not done that, or you are there and a lot of your friends have not joined us, you can still need to invite them over because we are starting live now. Everything is set. So thank you. And once again, you are welcome. We are from Anatomy Triad. For those of you just joining us, you're not aware of what we are doing. I remain my humble self, Egu Matthew, Program Coordinator, Anatomy Triad. Very soon we'll be having some persons joining us too. People Obed, our international coordinator, Kalak Botanga person. So for anatomy triad, just like the word triad means, is a three-way stuff. We are trying to link up students or graduate from the biomedical sciences, specifically anatomy, with professionals that are practicing biomedical field or anatomy, and also with academia, whom are lecturing already. So this is what we are trying to do to see it that these students, graduates, grow in their careers and have access to opportunities, develop themselves in skills that are relevant in our 21st century, and also become relevant to the society. That is all what we do in Anatomy Trial Foundation, building a set of humans that are developed all round, not depending on government, but being able to solve their own problem themselves and becoming problem solvers as far as the whole world is concerned. So welcome once again. Welcome once again. And today we'll be having a very great personality in our midst. Already you can see the difference between where he is and where we are right now in Nigeria. Now that I'm in a dark environment, I never planned this to happen because already hoping that there is light and I will continue with Nepal. But Nigeria, my country, I still greet you as a country. So we'll be having our guest speaker today in the person of Mr. John Oyam from not Nigeria. Don't think I will say from any country, any state, because you are just joking. We don't have light, so you can see the difference. So he's not from Nigeria right away. He's coming all the way from the Arctic University, Norway. So he is currently a doctorate student in neuroscience, the Arctic University, Norway. In fact, it was really amazed when I came to discover his research work and interest. That is already working on the aspect of sexuality and also how you people feed a lot of junks in Nigeria, eating plenty of nonsense and causes a lot of brain issues and the rest of that. So that is what is working. So it is very, very interesting that you will want to listen to somebody of this nature because he has a lot. Not only that, he has been in Nigeria and suffered in Nigeria, studied in Nigeria, studied anatomy from Abaraka. Abaraka people, he has been with you guys over there in Delta State. He has been in Port Harcourt and has passed through all what we are passing through currently in Nigeria as an anatomist. So he is part of us, he is our blood and he is our bone. So you will hear from him today as it concerns biomedical research in this 21st century. And then after that, we'll just have a little break where we'll do a little smarties. And then thereafter, we'll go into international opportunities and we'll give room for questions and answers as it concerns today's program. I remember my humble self, Egu Matthew. I think I learned something today, Mr. John. Maybe we will start this way before you can start with us.
Okay, it's okay. What did you hear?
Just like my name is Matthew,
Okay.
and if you look very well, the first letter of Matthew is M. So I can
Okay.
introduce myself by saying I am Majestic Matthew. Using the
Oh.
first letter to introduce myself, I am Majestic Matthew or Magnified Matthew. So your own is John. So let's see how it goes. Before,
I'm justified, John.
wow, that's interesting. All right, welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. I think we now have you now to go ahead. Please, if you are seeing Mr. Justified John Onyem slide being shared on the platform through YouTube, you can just say, yes, we are seeing the slide, and then we know that of a truth we are with you. Thank you very much as we look up to his presentation and his teachings tonight. Thank you.
um, can they see my slide at least, or can they see my screen?
All right, I can see Arinze here, but sending us good to see you, Mr. John. Please, Arinze, if you are seeing the shared slide, can you just say yes? I can see people from Byron University, Kanu. Please, also, you can also say yes. Mr. Obed, if you're also seeing a slide being shared there, you can just say yes. Just send us a message. We'll see your message. Mustafa, you can also say yes. I think you're already sending us a message yes. So just say that you can see the slide and then we'll proceed.
Is anyone seeing it yet? I just, I just want to be
They've not
sure.
responded. Let me check.
Did anyone give any positive response yet? Matthew, are you there? Hmm. It seems we've lost Matthew. Um, okay, maybe I should try to introduce myself or probably talk about myself before um, the presentation starts because I can see we're still on live, but Matthew is not here. Um, so my name is John Oyem, and okay, Matthew is back. And I had my first degree from Delta State University, where I read or I studied human anatomy and cell biology. Then after that, I proceeded to do a master degree also in Matthew. Did any can they see my screen?
No.
Okay, cool.
That
So I
so
think I
you
should
can
just
just go ahead. We
yeah,
are so sorry that
it's no worries. I would just go ahead with my presentation. But I was trying to kind of introduce myself before because you were offline or something at some point. So then after that, I proceeded to do like a master's in human anatomy and cell biology, and that was when I call it, I would just say accidentally started to do a research in neuroscience. At then I wanted to do like a multi-organ analysis and on the effect of nicotine on some selected organs. Then I wanted to look at vital organs, and then after the project, my supervisor, Professor EOA, Dokuma advised that we should why don't you look at the brain, John? I'm like, oh no, I don't want to look at the brain because it's very complex. And he said, oh, you can just look at the brain. I'm like, okay, Prof, I would look at the brain, and I looked at the brain, and that was just how I started to do neuroscience. And then after that, I proceeded to University of Port Harcourt to start my PhD. But of course, you know how difficult it was because at that point, I didn't have a job and there was no funding for me to do my PhD. But while I was in Port Harcourt, I met mentors like Dr. China Orish, Professor Amadi, and who like introduced me more into the realms of neuroscience. Then I had the opportunity to attend Sonar in, I think Sonar in 2019. Yeah, I attended Sonar in 2019, and it was an eye opener for me because then I knew that it was then I discovered that there are so many things I can do in neuroscience. But then after that, I started looking for more opportunities to maybe apply for scholarships or fellowship or conferences outside outside Nigeria. Because at some point during my career, I felt that it's it's difficult. It's something I cannot do, or it's something it's it's Herculean to accomplish, you know. But when I just got into it, then I got several rejections. But I tried and tried and tried then till I got this. Yeah, and that's how the journey has been so far. So I wouldn't want to bore you so much on that. Of course, there are hurdles, and there are also lots of successes that was in that during that phase of life. I'm willing to talk about it, and also like answer questions coming from how I did my applications or specific skills I require. But then this presentation is not really about my journey in neuroscience, though. It's about biomedical research in the 21st century and international opportunities. So when I saw this topic, I'm like, oh, this is really huge, because at some point I wanted to talk about all the international opportunities, what you need to apply for it, and maybe skills. You need online courses. Do you have to code? Do you need to do an internship position? Do you need to be do you need to maybe get a research stay somewhere, or do you have to uh, apply for grants to go for conferences? But then it came as two in one, and the only way I can accomplish this is maybe talk a little bit about medical research in the first 21st century, and then we take a short break. Then I also talk about some international opportunities. So for me to talk about this, we're going to have like a brief introduction, and after that, of course, we all have backgrounds in anatomy. We might want to look at some advances in human anatomy, and then after that, we talk about the need for personalized medicine, that is making diagnosis or treatments based on an individual's genome, and then the relevance of nanoparticles. Then we come to my field, behavioral neuroscience, and then computational models. And fine, then for that first part, talk about some research policies and policies when it also comes to publication, because I think it's very, very important, especially in this 21st century. And as young researchers, such as myself, we also have to like adhere to these some of these research ethics and publication policies before we talk about international opportunities. So we know that, sorry, 1 minute. Yeah, so we know that with science, researchers have been able to, or the world at large has achieved remarkable strides, especially in deciphering the molecular intricacies of diseases. And due to science, we've recorded like an accelerated development of novel and effective treatments. For instance, some of their basic researches we do in the lab out of curiosity, trying to find out there there are maybe an effect of a drug, or trying to find out a function of a particular brain region, or even trying to look at the difference in genetic makeup between individuals, or some studies we apply in anthropology in Nigeria where we look at the difference between maybe the female length of different ethnic groups. All these basic studies are really, really very important, and have led to the accelerated development of novel and effective treatments. For instance, when during the time of Watson and Crick, they did a ground breaking research in the discovery of DNA, and this discovery of DNA has led to major breakthrough in medicine, because we know that some mutations affect DNA, and when there is DNA mutation, some genetic diseases result. For instance,
Okay.
cancer. It's a problem, Matthew. Hello, is it
Sorry,
audible?
no, there's no problem. Just that my network had issues. I just
Okay,
added one of the admin to the platform.
okay, good. So when you have this mutation, some genetical diseases, they arise, but due to the discovery of DNA and gene editing and all that, researchers have been able to produce drugs. For instance, imatinib, that has been used in the management of treatment of cancer. And this is one of the major strides in the research of cancer. And there is this paper on randomized control trial that showed long-term outcomes of imatinib, which is a treatment for chronic myeloid leukemia, which is one major advances in the treatment of cancer. Then fields like in human anatomy, during another the previous era, it used to be there used to be cadaveric dissections, and then we know people researchers were going into body donation and snatching, because they want to dissect human bodies and understand how anatomy relates to physiology. And then I know before I left Nigeria, we had like introduction of some cadaveric dissection, where we use formalin embedded bodies or formalin embedded tissues for histology. But currently now we have a major advancement. It's really, I don't think it's so new, because I know some universities in Nigeria do this, but we have the use of 3D virtual anatomy, also known as anatomy. So it's a new approach for medical students for learning anatomy and understanding anatomy, and it's I think it's this is more well, I say it's more better, because it's when you use three-dimensional visual anatomy, aside appreciating how this appreciating the visual anatomy, it also like rather prevents you from getting exposed to the harmful effects that may come from formalin. Then in the field of histology, we have like advancements from light microscope. Even before we had microscope, we have like we know about an earlier pioneer in human anatomy, which is Antonio van Leeuwenhoek, that was able to grind line lenses to make microscopes. And from there, it's developed to light microscopes. Now we still use light microscope, but now we have like more powerful microscopes, like the confocal microscope,
At
that's able to
school,
capture.
think about
Can you maybe put off your mic or something? Okay. So it's these confocal microscopes are able to like capture intricate details at the cellular and subcellular levels. And this advancement in confocal microscope has revolutionized our ability to explore complexities of biological structures. And also in field of human embryology, which is one aspect of anatomy I enjoy so much, but I don't know why I didn't go into embryology. There's this emergence of in vitro fertilization, but now it has even grown beyond in vitro fertilization, because now we have a technique known as three parents IVF technique, where you have three parents contributing the sperm and the egg to be the father of the baby. in some, I know in some practices or in some countries it has, when I looked it up again, I saw an article that said it's been existing since uh, the 90s. But then there is this recent headline I saw from one of the UK magazines on UK newspaper that the first UK baby with DNA from three people was born after new IVF procedure, and this was I think earlier this earlier last year. So which is it's quite recent. So what happens in three parents IVF technique? It's, you know, mitochondria itself also have a DNA. So in the case where the mother's mitochondrial DNA it's damaged, or maybe there's some cellular damage or mutation on the mitochondrial DNA, you can get the mitochondrial DNA from an egg of a donor mother that replaces that they get to replace the mitochondrial DNA from the real mother of the child. Then when they replace it, they can do their they can now like get the sperm to fertilize the egg of the mother. So that's one rather so recent technique in IVF or in human embryology. Of course, they also have so many other techniques they do, both in genomic sequencing, genomic analysis. All those are all like relevant techniques in the field of embryology. But I just decided to talk about this, just so you know. I wouldn't like delve deeper into some of all these, the pros and cons and the ethics associated with some of these techniques, or like talk about the mechanisms, because if we do that, it just has to be, maybe we just have to deal with it as a topic on its own. Subsequent times, maybe someone who specializes in some of these areas can we can invite them to talk about it, or we can also have like a presentation on that. So next, I'll talk about personalized medicine. So in personalized medicine, we know that individuals are made up of different genome. So what personalized medicine does is trying to like they try to treat or manage a person's illness or sickness based on that person's genome, and they use biomarkers for this. So what they try to achieve is prediction and prevention of diseases. Then you get like a more precise diagnosis. Because, for instance, let's see, a cancer therapy that is done on a randomized control trial study for whites or for the Asians might not work for blacks, because why designing it or why designing the drug, they used a different race for this. But with personalized medicine, they do more precise diagnosis. Then you also have like targeted and personalized interventions and participatory role for the patient. So if they design this drug or therapeutic target for you, they are able to monitor you and see all the symptoms, or the way your health condition is improving. So assuming you can see my slide, I made this I had this slide where the scientists, they're trying to like get a cure for a cancer patient, and they provided a therapy, and you have three different group of people that took that took this therapy. So one, they are, I think they are homozygous, like they are the same, they have like the same genome, kind of as an illustration though, and the therapy works for them. But why in the others they had no effect, then in another group that is entirely different from these other two groups, it had an adverse effect. But with personalized medicine, each group is treated based on the information from that genome, that the assessment they get from their patient's biomarker. And you see that with personalized medicine, there is an improvement, because each of the groups in the study will get their treatment based on their genetic makeup. And in this case, they will get, instead of getting one therapy, they will get three different therapy. Then at the end of the day, everyone gets healed, and everyone gets healed, everyone is happy. There are also quite some notable articles on precision medicine. For instance, uh, this is from a journal of transition oncology, and it talks about how precision medicine is going to be affording the successes of science. Then this other article talks about pharmacogenomics and personalized medicine, which is the same thing I've talked about, and how personalized. And this one talks about how personalized medicine will transform healthcare by 2030. So the whole goal of precision medicine is if A has cancer, A will be treated based on the symptoms and based on the pharmacogenomics of A, and not having like a general drug for everyone with cancer. So that is what they are hoping to achieve. I have a colleague here. He's also Nigerian. I think I cannot, he's Nigerian. Let's not worry about where he came from. So he's working on oral cancer and how to use personalized medicine for the diagnosis of oral cancer. I was thinking maybe that his paper was published already, but I searched for it. I didn't see it. So from this paper that said personalized medicine will transform healthcare by 2030, so they said that the implementation of personalized medicine will result in more efficient and equitable healthcare, then access to modern healthcare methods, and improve control by individuals of their own health data, as well as economic development in the health sector. So this is one of the advances in science, and we hope we'll get there soon, or if if we are not there already. Then I also another mid advancement has gained major strides is nanotechnology and the application of nanotechnology in healthcare, which is called nanomedicine. So in nanotechnology, they use nanoparticles, and these particles are all almost up to more than 1 million nanometers. So the nanoparticles and nanomaterials, they cross natural barriers to access new delivery sites. So these when you get to the delivery site, they interact with DNA or small proteins at different level in the blood or within organs or tissues. So in overall in nanomedicine these days, you have about 100 of products that are under clinical trials, and they are covering some major diseases like cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative diseases, neuromuscular and inflammatory diseases. So nanomedicine is applied in diagnostics, both in vitro and in vivo, then also in nanotherapeutics, in production of vaccines, and also in regenerative medicine. Then next, I'll talk about advances in behavioral neuroscience, which is what I do. So in my research, I study natural reward such as sexual behavior or feeding behavior, because this reward they are necessary for the survival and continuity of species. And of course, it's so much fun to study it. So we study it in relation to the reward system, which is a part of the brain that regulates rewarding behaviors, or rather reward motivation. So we use this sexual behavior as a tool to unravel the mysteries of the reward system, especially on how the reward system regulates the switch from approach, motivation, and an execution. For instance, I'm doing a behavior I like. I have to do this behavior, or maybe a male rat sees a female rat, he approaches the rat. If then upon the rat obtaining sexual arousal, the male rat is motivated to mate. So now, how does the reward system switch from this approach to the motivation to mate, and finally to copulation? So in most cases in behavioral neuroscience, we use optogenetics, fiber photometry, and homogenetics. So all these they are specialized techniques with distinct applications of manipulating and investigating the neural circuits, because the brain is you have synapses in the brain, and they form circuits. So with these techniques, we are able to study brain function and how the circuits, for instance, are connected. So let's say With optogenetics, you can switch off or or adapt, inhibit or stimulate a particular brain region to know the role of that brain region. So for optogenetics, you do that with light. Then uh, for chemogenetics, you do that with chemicals. Then for fiber photometry, you like put fibers into the brain, and then you're able to record neural activities from that brain region. Let's say, for instance, we are studying the role of the ventral tegmental area, which is one of the motivational hub that has about 90% of dopaminergic neurons. We are studying the role of ventral tegmental area to like different phases of reward using food. So one of your questions could be: does the ventral tegmental area get activated upon the sight of food? Is it upon sniffing food and upon eating? So while the animal is behaving, we are recording activities from this region. It's also so unfortunate that you still cannot see my slide because I have one research article here published by my in my group. It's published by my supervisors, which is on silencing and stimulating the medial amygdala in pairs ejaculation, but not sexual incentive motivation. So they looked at the role of the medial amygdala when it comes to the some syllables of behavior in a sexual context. So what they did was in the middle amygdala, they have like a sham group. That's groups that receive no treatment, and then they also have groups that have them inhibitory traits in the amygdala, and then they have the ones that receive stimulatory traits in the amygdala. So from the data, you see that both in the stimulatory and the inhibitory group, either when you stimulate the medial amygdala or you inhibit the medial amygdala, it reduces the number of ejaculation compared to the controls. And since it reduces the number of ejaculation, it also reduces the latency for the animals to reach an ejaculation. And it also reduces the latency for the animals to reach a second ejaculation. So it's just a typical example of what you can do with optogenetics, fiber photometry, and chemogenetics. And next, if another groundbreaking advances in biomedical research is this area where they try to combine natural laws or physical laws with medicine itself. For instance, in what is happening in the field of computational neuroscience. Excuse me. What is happening in the field of computational neuroscience? So there's this from computational neuroscience. You have this computational fluid dynamics, where they use physical laws to try to like understand aerosol dispersal. So why this experiment? This is very vital, especially with the COVID pandemic, or like preparing us for the next pandemic. If we understand how these aerosols are dispersed, we can know how they are transmitted from one individual to another. And we also know like how aerosols are dispersed in smaller rooms, or like in healthcare facilities, or in smaller gatherings, and it will now prepare us to like get ourselves ready for instance, for like future pandemic. This is also like a study one a Nigerian is doing here by name Jibola Obolabi. So that is an area where he's pursuing his PhD. So I also felt like it's very interesting to talk about this, because I know maybe some people will want to like venture into this area, because I think it's quite new. So it involves lots of simulation processes and coding. So then, for advances, I also think it's very important to talk about research policies and publications. So first, in research policies, aside how to do your research and how to conduct your research and how you make sure that you follow all the ethics, especially with animal research or human research to get informed consent and all that. It's also super important to talk about the equity, diversity, and inclusion because in science you are supposed to create like a safe workplace environment with this criteria that everyone is important, everyone is included, even there is even an ongoing argument that even when you're conducting a research that is that involves indigenous groups, you also ought it's a must that you have to include indigenous groups. So this will just help us to think appropriately, especially when we are doing our research, or not even when we are doing before we do our research. Are we following the policies? What are the ethics? Are we following the animal ethics and rules? How are we handling the animals? Because this is super important. So there's this paper that was published in Nature 2022 that I have here. So it says equity, diversity, and inclusion are foundational research skills. So from this paper, I got this part that says that when you fail to consider the principles of equity, diversity, and inclusion in biomedical and human behavioral research, patients are harmed, both trainees and scientists are harmed. So, on the basis of experience and evidence, we make actionable specific recommendations and how equity, diversity, and inclusion can be considered at each step of of a research project. It is super, super important. Even in your lab environment, it's super, super important that you consider equity, diversity, and inclusion. Everyone that is concerned with the research are all important. And we know that when we are scientists, or rather researchers do science itself, it is not for us. One of the major reasons we do research is either we want to solve a problem, or we have like an aching question we want to answer. We want to understand the principles of a particular solution, or want to understand how maybe a brain region works, or it's we want to satisfy curiosity. And one of these reasons of doing research, we do research, it's not because of us, it's because of the value of research, because we want to use them to save lives. So all the basic researches we do, they are all geared towards saving life. And then, which is why it is very, very important that the researches you do has to be published. And in that case, I will talk about the open access policy. So the open access policy is more like, how do you communicate your research? Do you rather publish your research in journals that does not have an open access policy that prevents the public to have access to your research, to have access to your paper? Or do you rather publish your research in a journal that has open access, or that is open access, everyone is free to access it for wider coverage? So in 21st century, the policy makers, the researchers are insisting on publishing open access, even with even as far as your data is supposed to be made open access. If you use codes, your codes are to be made open access. So also, according to Nature, some benefits of publishing open access is, for the authors, your work is seen by more people. And even when your work is seen by more people, open access articles are viewed and they are cited more often than articles behind a paywall. For the readers, which are the people we are making the research for, they can access and build upon the most recent work in their field because the content is available and it's reusable for all. And for funders, the work they fund will reach like a wider audience and will have a more immediate impact. And also, all academic publications shall be accessible in open access journals or open repositories. So whenever you do your research as a young student, as a young researcher, it is very, very important to publish it. Even if you are doing your bachelor's degree studies, it is very, very important that you publish it because You just you just do your project, or you do your research. You write your project, you get a grade, then you get a hard copy, and that is it. No one knows about it. No one knows about your contribution to science. But when you publish it, it shows you can write an article. It shows you're contributing to science. It shows you know how to communicate science. You know how to interpret results. And then when you present it in a conference, for instance, it shows networking and collaboration. So it's something you should consider when you do designing your research, and defending your project, rather writing the articles. Ensure you publish open access, and also ensure you avoid publishing in predatory journals. Maybe we'll have a different section for predatory journals. But like I said, I'm just touching these little aspects of a region, or like areas in science where I see advances. You may notice that I didn't talk about genomics because there's kind of a connection between these areas. So there's no way, for instance, you're talking about immunohistochemistry, or you're talking about gene editing, that you don't involve genomics. So because they are all intertwined, and there's so much you can also do in genomics. Gone are those days where we say that, oh, as an anatomist, I'm going to end up in the morgue. No, it's no longer the case. There are so many things you can do with anatomy. If one of these days we can also talk about career prospects in human anatomy. There are so many areas you can go into, but you just have to prepare yourself and have the right skills and resources you need. So to conclude this first part, I see there is a dynamic interplay that exists between scientific advancements and healthcare in the past, in the present, and in future. Thank you so much for listening. I just hope I made sense. Hi,
All right. Thank you, Mr. John.
thank you
I
so
think
much.
we've really benefited. In fact, me as a person, I have learned a lot from your presentation. I've benefited a lot from your presentation. So, uh, our audience out there, we are looking forward to having just a little bit of teaching. I don't know, Mr. Obed, are you here?
I don't think he's there, but I'm here. Just go on. I don't think he's there, but I'm here.
All right. I think, thank God you can take over to just give us a little bit of teaching. What you think we can just use to teach ourselves, because me as a person, I've learned a lot. I don't know for our audience out there. So you can shout out what you've learned by commenting. Let's hear you, or let's see what you've learned, because some of you are just very quiet. As for me and my household, I am following Mr. John because I have decided to stop eating junks because of so many things. Maybe his research work has really impacted me, even when he has not finished the whole stuff. All right. So
Don't worry, one of
yes.
the days I'll talk about my research, but not now yet.
Okay. There was no. He was very happy to the extent that he thanked one of the fathers of anatomy when he was performing PCR techniques. I don't know if you can still remember.
Who was that?
Yes, I mean you, sir. I think there is one of your write up on Facebook
Oh,
when
okay.
you did a practical section with a student from University of Port Harcourt about
Oh, yeah.
PCR techniques.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
Yes, so I believe your zeal to impact the anatomical society didn't start even when you find yourself abroad,
You're right.
because from that I noticed that that definitely means you started even while you were studying the profession, to seeing it that you open up the eyes of people to know that the profession is an area that is so diverse that they can do a lot. So thank you
Honestly,
very much for yeah.
honestly, honestly, Matthew, you were right. Because I know that so many of us, I'm sorry to say, I don't want to sound vulgar, but I know that so many of us, anatomy wasn't the option for us. Because if you should ask, how many of us, when we wrote our jam, wanted anatomy? I don't know. Is the audience just Nigeria, or do we have like a diverse audience? Because I can't even see the audience.
The stuff is we are streaming on Zoom. Sorry, YouTube.
Can you send me the link? I might just want to, so that I can also see the audience. So the thing is, so many of us
All
wanted
right.
to like, wanted medicine rather. Even me, I wanted medicine, but I didn't get medicine, and then I chose anatomy. And in my second year, I was I wasn't so pleased with anatomy that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave anatomy for medicine. Then I decided to switch. I tried everything possible. It didn't work. Everything possible. It didn't work. I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna venture into anatomy, then I'm gonna read anatomy to that point that at least I will make out something great from anatomy. So I've always had that passion and motivation for anatomy, even right from my undergraduate. And then I'm like, no, I'm not gonna stop at I'm not gonna be a mortuary attendant. Cause those times when my mom told her friends that, oh, John is studying anatomy, I'm like, oh, he's gonna work in the morgue. My mom calls me and says, are you gonna work in the morgue? I'm like, if I like the morgue and I want to practice anatomy in the morgue, I can work in the morgue. But then I'm not gonna be the mortician doing the embalmings and all that. And she said, no, I don't want you to work in the morgue. But at some point, I ran into an article by Oluwole Oguranti. I don't know if you know Oluwole, Professor Oluwole Oguranti. I'm sorry I called him Oluwole Oguranti because here, I'm sorry, we don't usually do call professors, we call everyone by their names. But I'm still Nigerian, so Professor Oluwole Oguranti, where he talked about advances and career prospects in anatomy. Then like the article like showed different areas you can go into in anatomy. He even delved into human embryology. I think he does human embryology. Like wow, you can really do all these things in anatomy. But by the time don't worry, by the time we go into the second part, maybe where I talk about I show some of the grants, I would also try to like attach a story behind it and also give instances of the ones I've won in the past. Yeah. But are there like questions in this first part?
All right. Thank you. I know our people out there whom are watching us are seriously looking forward to asking questions, and like Jubri, Mustafa is always interested in the whole aspect of your slide. Jubri, don't worry. They will definitely send the slide to you. Don't be afraid. The slide will get to you. For our students whom are also asking me slide, 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 don't worry. We'll
Hello, Matthew. Are you there? Oh no, network. I understand.
Okay, yeah, I think we lost Matthew.
Oh,
Hello,
it's
can you hear
okay.
me?
I can hear you. It's fine. I've had some of these struggles when I was in Nigeria. It's no problem
Sorry
at
about
all. No, you don't have to
yeah,
apologize. Come on.
we are trying to get
you
questions
find
from
yourself with your the first letter of your name. So, like I said, my name is Matthew, and I'm always saying Majestic Matthew, Mighty Matthew, and the rest of that.
Matthew. Are you back?
Yes, Obed, you can say obsessive Obed. Will I use that one? Obed is obsessed with anatomy, so you can say it's obsessive Obed. Yes, thank God. You can say testify, thank God, and the rest of that. I believe for our students out there, you've also noticed that your research work was not supposed to end in your university library, from what he has said so far. Yes, your research work was not supposed to end in university library. I think from my little understanding,
Oh no.
Okay, I think he was trying to round up, right?
Yeah, like maybe
Hello.
because we have like a second part where I talk about the international opportunities.
Okay, okay, okay. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I think he's back. Matt, are you back?
I can hear
yes,
you. Matthew,
yes.
can you please share me the YouTube link so I can maybe open it from another um
All right. I will
I can open it
definitely
from
do that.
another YouTube from a YouTube account and see what is I can try to have control of what is happening here and what is happening because I only see myself and it's really
Sorry, is the StreamYard stuff. That is why this is how the platform behave. We can only see ourselves. Those of us that are
yeah.
in the StreamYard stage. But for you, that is our presenter. Everybody is seeing you live. So fear that not, sir. You are secured.
Yeah, but
I will,
I also
I
want to
will
see
send.
them.
I will send.
Yeah,
I will just forward the link to you now.
please. And
So please, those. All right. I'm listening.
if there is no question, when do we talk about the second phase? Hello.
Yes, I said we can just go to the second phase, and then from there they come up with their questions.
Okay, please can you share me the link, please?
Yes, I'm doing that now.
Um, I think I can even you can search for it. Sorry everyone for this little break. YouTube.
Yes, I have done that.
Um, did you share it on WhatsApp? Please? Did you share it on WhatsApp? Oh no. Okay.
I Yes, I've sent it on
Yeah.
WhatsApp.
Okay. So there's someone that said I can only see um
Yes, those are
on
past messages when we were trying to ask if they can see your slide.
okay. So I think with this I have control of what I'm doing. Yes. 1 minute, 1 second, please. I'm sorry. I haven't really used this before. Okay. Yes. Oh no, I'm not good at this. Okay. I try to like maybe have control of what is happening here and what is happening on YouTube, but it seems
Hello,
it doesn't work.
hello. Hello.
we already have our team members on it, so they are also seeing it to respond to whatsoever questions that will come up. And then it will also pop up on the comment section of StreamYard here.
Okay,
Though
good.
maybe you're not seeing because you aren't the host. That's why. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. So thank you. Next, I will talk about international opportunities. Yes. So before that, I'll give you like a really short story. I was one of those students that felt that I wasn't good enough, or I cannot do it. I'm not smart enough. The international folks, or the students from the international world, they are better than me and all that. And then I struggled to make applications because I always got rejections. I kept on getting rejections. Like, I remember I applied for one in Italy, I applied for a scholarship in Italy, I got rejected. Switzerland, I got rejected. Canada, I got rejected. Name it, I got rejected. But then your passion, resilience, persistence sets in. What do you want? Who do you want to be? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Or where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? How do you want to develop that? So for me, like, there was no other alternative for me, coupled with the fact that I came from a very humble background. And the only way for me to succeed, I need to get a grant. If I really want to do science, I need to get a grant. Because another motivation for me was, I'm not gonna do. I said I'm not gonna do the same thing or the same research I did during my undergraduate. Now I want hands-on training. I want to get cutting edge techniques. I want to collaborate. So those are some of the things that spurred me into looking for international fundings. And then when I started my PhD in Uniport, I finished the coursework. I did a proposal. And my proposal was super ambitious because it was something I wanted to do. My supervisor was, "How are you going to do this?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm just going to do this." And I was very lucky. Then we had Society of that's SONA, the Neuroscience Society in Africa. It was hosted in Lagos. And then I told my mom, I'm having a conference in Lagos. I have to go. And my mom she was super supportive. She was so supportive of me. And she told me, if there's a conference in Lagos, then you have to go, because when you get to Lagos, you're going to meet people, you're going to network, and you can't even tell what will happen. I'm like, oh, I don't have money, because those times I was doing this empower stuff. Like, I don't have money. I said it. We have families and relations. You also have friends in Lagos. Just go to Lagos and try it out. And then I went to Lagos for Suna. I must tell you that the friends I met at the friends I met at Sona, they are still in my network of friends, or rather, they are in my network. At Sona, I met Neza, I met Fanta. Fanta is now a doctor. I think Neza is an associate prof, or if not a professor now. I met Hassan. Hassan is a postdoc. I met GIT. GIT is doing his second doctoral study. I met Vivian. Vivian is already a PI. So many people there. And it was then I got to discover that you can actually get grants, you can actually get scholarship, but you have to push. You have to be persistent, you have to be resilient. You have to get yourself ready and prepared, because the opportunity is going to show up. And when it shows up, are you going to be ready for it? How do you make these applications? What are the requirements? So those are the things you need to get ready for. And also, during Sonaria, I met Professor Lokbade, Professor Madi, so many amazing people in neuroscience who started from like they started from like nothing. They started from nothing, and they're able to climb to that height. I was really motivated. I'm like, okay, I want to be in neuroscience. To you, it might not be neuroscience, it might be cancer research. To another, it's public health. To another, it's genetics or it's anthropology. There's, there is scholarship and funding for anyone, for everyone. In as much as you want to do science, no matter the area you're going into, there is funding for you. But the thing is, have you searched for it? And how are you searching for it? So the first one on my list, okay, before I go to my list, a little another story in Sona. And then I was talking to Neza. Neza was working on, sorry, Professor Neza. She was working on JBUs or something. I'm like, I think it's academic reading on JBUs. Or was it Hassan that was working on academic reading on JBUs? Oh no, I said I'm not interested in this. I want to meet I want to meet PIs, I want to meet professors, I don't want to meet the student because Neza was I'm like I didn't even know that Neza wasn't the PI. Wasn't a student, she was already a PI. And then so at Sona, they were talking about the Hebrew school in Morocco. Oh, there's an Hebrew school in Morocco. Then, of course, Professor Nuria was there, and Professor Khalid was also there. Like, oh, you can apply to the, and they said, you can apply to the Hebrew school in Morocco. I'm like, really? They said yes. I said, which one is Hebrew? Which one is Hebrew? Like International Brain Research Organization. And then I got interacting with some friends, and they said, "Oh, which of the rooms? Where are you staying?" I said, "No, I'm coming from town." I said, "Oh no, I stay in the hotel because I got a grant for this conference. I had so many people that got grants for the conference, but then I funded myself. That was still another motivation. I said, okay, no worries. And then I went home. I looked up Hebrew, and they had this summer school in Zurich. So I applied to the summer school in Zurich in Switzerland, and I got accepted for the school. But then they asked that I have to pay some amount of money or something, and I wrote to Hebrew, like, Hebrew, you advertised for this school, and I need funds, I need grants to attend this school, but because I don't have money, and I'm from a developing country. For the fact that from a developing country, it's even an edge for you to get a grant. Don't forget equity, diversity, and inclusion. Don't forget that part. So, and Ibro said, "Oh, sorry, we cannot give you funding for this because you're not within the region. You can only get funding for maybe a school that cuts across all regions of the world. But for this school, it doesn't cut across all regions in the world. But you can apply for like summer schools or workshops in regions in Africa." And I said, "Okay, thanks." I looked up Morocco. When I looked up Morocco, they have an advanced school in Morocco, and the law is you have to attend like 2 or 3 basic neuroscience schools before you can attend an advanced school. Like, okay, let me just try it because you always have to be positive. I always stay positive. It's gonna be either a yes or a no. And then I tried it. After a while, I didn't get a report or a reply rather. One of the days I got a reply that, oh, congratulations, John, you've been accepted to attend the Hebrew school in Morocco. Like, wow, wow. I got the invitation. And then those times I've never been to the like get like I've never traveled out of the country before, and that was going to be my first time experience. So I had some curiosity: is it real? Because it's the first time, and all this and all that. But then it happened that it was real. The school have I attached a picture to it. Then I got to Morocco. I had colleagues that came from different part of Africa. I think I was I was just were about 2 or 3 that did not have fundings for their PhD. I spoke to Sam. Sam was doing his PhD in South Africa. He had grant. Abdel, he's in one of the universities in US now. He had grants. They all got grants for their programs. And the friend told me, John, No one does a PhD without grants. You have to apply for grants. You need to apply for grants, John, because the money is there, but you have to apply. So that was when I started applying. Yeah. So for the first one we look at, it's American Association of Anatomy. It is very, very important for you to be a member of American Association of Anatomy because some of these association they have advert. Let me see if I can skip verification. Let me see if I can open anatomy. Yeah. So they are here. They are to achieve excellence, and so the members only program bestows more than $650,000 in awards, research grants, and scholarship each year. And in fact, 1 in 10 members receive an award, scholarship, or grant every year. And many recipients go on to achieve significant successes in their career. You ask yourself, "Oh, I'm doing a project. I don't. There's no grant. There's no money to complete it, or maybe I got an invitation to attend the bioinformatics school. What do I do?" If you're a member of anatomical this AAA, you can write to them and ask for funding. You can write to them and ask for funding. Even if they don't have, you also have a couple of other organizations you can write to. For instance, if you look up their eligible awards for students and postdocs, they have an inclusion award. They have a student postdoc meeting travel and competition award. So when we look at this, it's so sad that we're not looking at it together. But I'll share my slides with you, or then later you can watch it. So this organization awards $80,000 to students, postdoctoral researchers, and early career members in travel awards to help attend annual meetings or anatomy connected meetings. Huge money, right? So you have for new students and postdoc members, you have travel award amounts, you have competition awards amounts, and you have competition awards categories. But of course, you have the criteria um, to apply for that. Then another one is International Brain Research Organization. Like most of the fundings I've gotten so far is from International Brain Research Organization, and there's no way I can write my story in neuroscience or in anatomy without mentioning Ibro. I got the grant to attend the summer school in Morocco. I got the grant to attend the summer school in West Africa. That was the one that was organized by Professor James Olopade. I got the Ibro weekend grants for the one in Japan, but I couldn't go due to COVID. There was also one in Canada that I didn't attend due to COVID. They are all sponsored by Ibro. Ibro is looking for young researchers in Africa. But what are you doing if you don't apply? What are you doing if you're not following Ibro on Twitter? You are not in the scientific community. What are you doing? What are you doing? But of course, you also have to get yourself prepared to apply for some of these grants. So if you look at Ibro website and you go to regions, you go to Africa, the Africa region, they always advertise programs and summer schools. For instance, FENS is coming up. That's Federation of European Neuroscience Society. It's coming up in, I think, June in Vienna. Ibro made an announcement for people that want to attend the conference. If you want to attend the conference in FENS, then you have to apply for the FENS grants. Um, Jibrin, there is no license needed. Okay, we'll come back to this. We'll come back to the questions. But then you have to apply for the grants, and you even have I think Professor Yo or Owoyele Bamidele Victor from University of Ilorin. It's one of the ARC committee members. Then of course you have Professor Khalid and some other people. Then Thomas Tago. I want to see if I can see some of their ARC African grants. Yes. Then I want to see if there are like ongoing African grants for students, Hebrew schools and training calendar grants. No, not this, not this, not this. So you have this neurochemistry and neurotoxicant related neurological disorders coming on by 25th to 29th of October in Morocco, right? Yeah. So you have lots and lots of grants and opportunities there waiting for you, but you have to apply for you to participate. Also, Society for Neuroscience (SFN), the one that is held in America. Even for the last SFN conference, Ibro also like advertised and want to support students from developing regions or all over the world that want to attend the SFN neuroscience conference. What do you need to attend the conference? You need to send an abstract. If you're sending an abstract, it has to be like an abstract of maybe of an already finished research, or even if it is not a finished research, you can add like your expected outcomes. And if your abstract is accepted, you can apply for the grant. Then International Society for Neurochemistry. ISN has lots of flagship school, and I have friends that have benefited so much from ISN. ISN has flagship schools. They have symposium coming up in 2025 in the US. They also provide grants, but you have to be a member of ISN. For you to be a member of ISN, if you belong to a sister nation, of which I know Sona is a sister nation to ISN, you can get a waiver, but you need to get a letter from someone who is a member in ISN. So, for instance, if you write to Professor Whaley or Professor Lopade or Professor Amadi, even associate professor in Germany, so many of them in Nigeria, they can give you a letter and you get a waiver. And once you're a member, you're entitled to receive their grants. Then you have the Ernst Mark grant. So Ernst Mark grants, it's for you to get a PhD fellowship in Austria. For instance, or I don't know if it's applicable to master students. You can also look it up. I attached the link. Maybe you're doing a research in Nigeria and you want to complete your research in a host laboratory, then you go for the smart grant. It gives you like 6 months or 7 months full fellowship to do your research in a host laboratory. I know Ibro also have such travel grants, and ISN also have that. Then you have the Alba Diversity Grant. They also work in collaboration with Ibro. I once received the Alba grant to attend excuse me, to attend one of the friends conference. Then also the Movement Disorder Society. If your project or your research revolves around Parkinson's disease and anything that has to do with maybe movement disorder, for instance, maybe motor neuron disease or any of that, you can also be a member of MDS. Also, just know that if you are from a developing country and you're still a student, you can apply for waiver to be a member. It's not going to cost you anything. Another thing that can work too, you can write to, I know maybe this might be strange, but you can write to a government body in Nigeria and they might be willing to support you. During those times, I was like applying to get a PhD abroad. I got an invitation to Brazil. Yeah, I cannot remember the name of the PI or the lab in Brazil, but there was I already or we the PI already has a Nigerian in Brazil doing his PhD there. And when I spoke to the guy, he said, "Oh, it was a government official from my community that gave me the money to come." So it can also maybe you get acceptance, or you get admitted, or you get like an invitation to come, but then you need some cash, some money to offset some of the costs. You might be lucky to have someone from the government who is interested in education that can sponsor you. Don't say, oh, it's Nigeria, they're not going to help me. Try first. Try first. Then you can also write to university PI, because most universities have internal grants and most PIs have internal grants. And some of them, when they advertise for it, it becomes super competitive because then they want the best of the best candidate for it. I have a mentee who is currently doing his PhD in Vienna. He's doing his PhD now in Vienna. He just he sent like a cold email to the professor, and he saw the professor's page on Twitter, then looked him up on Google Scholar, and he said, "Oh, I'm interested in what he's doing." Then he sent him an email, and he told him that, "Oh, I'm interested in what you're doing. I want to start a PhD, and I would like to do my PhD in this research." This is just a summary of what the email looks like. And then, and the man said, "Okay, I was about advertising for this position. Why don't I have an interview with you to see if you're eligible? Then I can hire you." And then they had like series of three interviews. He was good. The PI was pleased with the interview. That was how he invited him, and he's currently, I think he should be in his finishing up his first year now and doing his PhD in Vienna. Then you also have the Maria Curie Fellowship. Maybe if you finished your PhD and you want to apply for a postdoctoral fellow, you can look up Maria Curie Fellowship. For postdocs, there's Alexandria von Humboldt. You can also look up that for postdocs. Maybe it's something I should tell myself that I have to look up. But then you also have Maria Curie Fellowship for PhD students. Another one I want to highlight is British Society of Neuroendocrinology. I just discovered BSN of recent, and when I looked it up, I saw that you can also get a waiver for being a member. One of my mentee just got a mail 2 or 3 days back, 3 days ago. She's now already a member of British Society of Neuroendocrinology. And when you're a member for like 3 months, you can apply for the travel grants, and you can apply for their travel grants, even their conference grants. You can also like identify maybe or get a host lab in any of the EU countries. So far, you have this agreement to work with the host lab, and you present a letter to BSN. They will fund it, irrespective of whether you are at the level you're in. You have company of biologists, you have EMBO, Erasmus Mundus scholarship, you have the DAD for Germany, you have the Venier scholarship, you have Rhodes, then you have this African pen, what is it called? The Pan African University Scholarship, where if you get it, you can either do your PhD in UI or in Kenya. I have okay, he used to be my mentee, but now he's my friend. He got his Pan African University Scholarship, and he did his masters in Kenya. Now he's finished his masters, and he got a PhD position in Australia. I'm sorry I have to say this here if you're here listening to me, but you can also apply for that. So you have NMPC Total International Postgraduate Scholarship, DAAD Scholarship, in scholarship, Felix, Cambridge Gates, Wellcome Trust, Chevney, Master Chef, research and teaching assistant positions in USA. You have so many of them. You have so many scholarships for you to apply for. Even in the US has a program known as the post is it baccalaureate program, where you can apply for 1 minute, where if you get the post baccalaureate program, if you get the offer, you get fundings to go to the US, and you stay with them for like 1 year, and after that you get enrolled into a PhD school. It makes you like a top candidate for for a PhD admission. I had also have someone from Nigeria who got that. And another thing I want to mention is, do you know that you can get an MS PhD position without doing a master's, without having a master's degree from Nigeria? Yes, you can. It is very possible, especially in the US. It's very possible, especially in the US. You can get like MS PhD admission with your BSc. I have a mentee who is currently doing his PhD in the US. He had a BSc. Let me not call it just the BSc. Yeah. So I will share this slides with Matthew, and Matthew can get it across to you. So I want to say thank you to my current supervisors, Professor Elkis Noreen and Professor James McCutcheon and Dr. Patty Hookins for giving me this opportunity. My past supervisors, Professor so many of them, Monica Bastos, Dr. Kingsley, Professor Lopadi, Professor Madi, Professor Chinorich, Professor Jomoni, so many of them. I have so many of them. All my research collaborators, Dr. Patrick Itipi Ifuko, GIT, Dr. Vivian, my mentees, my best buddies, my siblings, and of course, to Anatomy Triad. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me to have this talk. And I sincerely want to apologize to all those listening that I'm sorry that you couldn't see my screen. But of course, I'm still around for question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. John. I think you
Hi,
have opened
Matthew.
so many things. Most of the organizations you mentioned, I think, as for me and my household, this is the first time I'm hearing them. I,
Can you hear me?
so
It's Matthew
yes,
here.
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you hear me? Mr. Obed, can you hear him? I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Matthew, I cannot hear you.
Hello, Mr. John, can you hear me?
I think you have to mute yourself, Mike Matthew. Ubed, are you here?
Yes, I think I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
Um, Jibrin, can you hear me? Jibrin, if you can hear me, just type in the chat. I want to address your question. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm done, Matthew. I think we can take questions.
Okay. I think, can you hear me now? Can you hear me, Mr. John?
Oh, I don't know why I can't hear you, Matthew, and you say you can hear me. Okay. The people on live, can you hear me? The people on live, if you can hear me, can you type in the live chat, please?
Yes. Mr. John, I don't know if you can hear me now. Yes. Mr. John, can you hear me now?
Okay. I know. Okay. I don't know if Jibrin is still here. Um, Jibrin, you don't need any license for a project student to publish his or her work. You don't need any license. You have to be like in an agreement with your supervisor and tell your supervisor that you want to publish your research. But then it also depends on maybe if she wants to do like a follow-up research on that. Because if she wants to do like a follow-up research on that, she might not want to make the data public yet. But if she doesn't want to do a follow-up research, then there's nothing stopping you from publishing it. But mind you, she has to be an author. because she is your supervisor in the paper. And okay, while we are waiting for Matthew, is I think it's also super important because it's very easier to talk about these things, but you also have to get yourself prepared. Let's say, for instance, if you're applying for a master's degree or a master's in neuroscience, a master in neuroscience in another university or PhD in neuroscience in another university, if you're competing with students coming from developed countries, it's it's usually a challenge for someone in Nigeria because, of course, they know that it's a developing country, but most positions are super independent here, and you should able to do be able to demonstrate some of the techniques and also be super independent. So one thing I would advise you is please try to develop your skills, especially coding skills. In 21st century, you have to do lots and lots of coding, either with Python or with R. So for now, I would advise you while maybe you're at home or while you're studying, try to hone your skills on coding. Then there are still some labs around. You can also visit some labs and be an intern in some of those labs. Take up online courses, neuroscience courses that it's offered by renowned universities or international universities. It's also gonna help your CV. Then apply for conferences, whether local and international, because it shows your networking. That that's also one advice I can give you. Matthew, we can still hear you. Oh no. Does anyone have any other question?
Mr. John, can you not hear me? Hello?
Oh no. I'm so sorry that things turned out this way. I'm going to drop my email address in the chat. Please, if you have questions or you want to reach out to me for advice in the nearest future, you can contact me with my private email. I'm putting it in the live chat. On the live chat, sorry. So that's it on the live chat. Obed, are you here?
Hello?
Yeah,
Mr. John,
Matthew,
can you hear me?
I cannot hear you.
Mr. Obed, can you hear me? All right, we are so sorry for our participants out there. That network has been very, very bad from our end here, especially this our Nigeria end. And then for our spokesperson for today, Mr. John, we are very, very grateful that you have done justice to so many things as it concerns basic medical, or let's say as it concerns biomedical research and also international opportunities out there. So, from the take note aspect of it, it is believed that as a biomedical student, you ought to be very much involved in research writing. And when you are writing out your research, don't pocket it, still need to publish it out because that definitely means you are passing out information. There are diverse areas of researches in biomedical sciences coming up now, like in cancer, in precision medicine, brain, and so many other areas of medicine that are very much necessary for you to be involved in research. So, say need to do the research, find it to collaborate with people. Don't restrict yourself to just being a single person that is working around the clock. And as you do that in medical researches, you are able to collaborate, network with people, and then you publish out your paper. Don't make it a closed kind of paper. Make it open access that people have access to the knowledge you've shared. And with that, your work will go places. So thank you very much. And also, as it concerns international opportunities, there are so many opportunities for the underdeveloping countries, which Nigeria is one of them, and Africa is one of the developing continents. So we are very much lucky to come from this area as it concerns medical research opportunities out there. So as Mr. John has already mentioned, there are opportunities in SONA, Society of Neuroscience of Africa, that is in Africa. We also have the American Association of Anatomists. We have the International Neurochemistry and so many other areas of neuroscience. So you can go ahead and then still need to be involved in most of these organizations, and then from there I believe you, you have collaborations, you have opportunities, they can sponsor your grant and you will do well. And so don't limit yourself. Be prepared to apply for opportunities. Always ask questions, always network. Don't say you know it all. I believe with this, you can do better in the field of anatomy and in biomedical researches. So if you think and people whom are obscure, I remain my humble self, Egu Matthew Fidelis. program for our next